Killer Instinct is home of some of the most unique fighting game characters ever created. They're all incredibly unique design-wise and well put together in terms of their tools and their move lists. So today, I will be sharing with all of you my personal favorite moves in all of Killer Instinct. And if you love Killer Instinct just as much as I do, remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, leave a thumbs up on the video if you like the video, and drop a comment below letting me know what you would like to see next. Alrighty, let's get started. So, as usual, going in order of characters in the roster, we're going to be starting with Jago. My personal favorite move from Jago is his neck cutter, his back heavy punch. This is an overhead attack with really good range, and it is very, very good for hit confirming into special moves to find sweet, sweet openings. A lot of the moves on this list are going to be overhead attacks because I just find them so cool in this game, and they're so easy to hit confirm for the most part because they're usually heavy normals. But I just think this one is exceptional because I just love the animation. Something about Jago reeling back the sword and bringing it down on top of your shoulder is just really, really cool to me. A lot of the times you'll see people use this move at the wall after a wall splat to go for a standing overhead reset, and I think that's one of the best uses of the move. But sometimes I think that it's good to just throw in and pressure every now and again to catch your opponent. Maybe just crouch blocking, respecting this crouching medium kick too much, or whatever it might be, respecting throws, shimmying somebody with an overhead is something that is possible in this game, and I think this is one of the best examples of an effective overhead in a fighting game. The neck cutter is one of the coolest overheads in the entire game, in my opinion. Next up, we have Sabrewulf, and this might not be a move that you would even think that would be my favorite, but it's actually his crouching heavy kick. It's an animation that is unlike anything else that he has. He's got these traditional bites where he's like biting at the opponent, but this move, he's like biting towards the air. And you don't see this a lot in pressure strings for the most part. There are some very extreme cases where you do, and you don't even really see this as like a meaty attack, but it does have a lot of active frames, so it could be good for that reason. But as you might imagine, it's a very effective anti-air. Catch somebody jumping out of the air with this move and go into an eclipse for some easy damage. Or if you have meter, you might even be able to get a recapture off of it just like that, and that also works. I'm not really sure what it is about this move that makes me so excited. This move is really, really different looking from everything else that he has, I guess, and that's why I like it so much. It's not what you would expect from a character like Sabrewulf. This is a very precise maneuver. The way he's placing himself on the ground, like the way he's using his paws to lift up further into the air, it's just a really cool animation to me. Now here's a character that I don't necessarily enjoy competitively, but I love design-wise. We're looking at Glacius. My favorite move from Glacius in Killer Instinct is actually a very simple one. It's his grab. His grab animation is one of the coolest in the entire game, in my opinion, and I think this character has one of the coolest looking grabs I've ever seen in a fighting game, period. He's got incredibly long throw range. He can throw you from very far away, so you're going to see this happen often in real matches, and I think that's a good thing because I think this move looks super cool. Mid-screen, he doesn't get too much off of it. He sends you far away, and that means that often he can get set up with Hail or Shatter for free against characters that don't have great full-screen presence, which is good, but where this move really shines is in the corner. Glacius grabs you in the corner, say goodnight, because this is how he gets his set play started, and it creates one of the scariest mix-ups in the entire game, because when you're in the corner with Hail, it's just a nightmare. I would not recommend getting hit by this in the corner if you like having a life bar. It is deadly. Overall, the animation is just insane to me. I really like the way that he pulls you in with one hand towards the other, and then there's like a miniature hail that detonates in his hand. It just explodes you further away. It's just one of the coolest grabs in the game. There's really nothing quite like Glacius's grab. All right, we got Thunder next. I think this one is going to be a very obvious one given what I said about Jago, but actually the Hornbreaker forward heavy punch overhead is one of the coolest looking overheads I've ever seen. Thunder is an absolute mix-up machine, and this overhead is one of the biggest reasons why. He can use this to get so much offense started, whether it's after a wall splat, after a knockdown, in a reset off of a back throw. He just gets a crazy starter off of that overhead. It is nuts. I really, really enjoy the way he puts both axes up in the air and hits twice with this, which is a blessing and a curse because I think the move looks really cool, but it's also a weakness because this is very easily shadow countered by somebody who has really good defense in this game. It can also be canceled into his command grab, which works on block or on hit, depending how you time it, which is very, very good. See there, I did it a little too early, but if you delay it just a little bit, you will be able to get the overhead to go into the command grab just like that on hit. It is a very, very dangerous tool in Thunder's repertoire. Up next, we got the edgy boy Shadow Jago, and my favorite move from him, this is probably also a very obvious one, now that you can see that I've popped my instinct, is his Annihilation. This is the raging demon of this game, and it is one of the sickest animations in all of Killer Instinct. My god. Nobody else in the roster has anything quite like Annihilation. This is a command grab that he only has access to while he's in Instinct, and the more Instinct he has when he does it, the more damage it does. So right now I'm set to Infinite Instinct. I'm going to turn that off. And now that the Instinct is starting to drain, it is actually going to deal less damage with the less Instinct that I have. So at about 50%, when I do this move, it will not do a full 48% like it will if you just pop it and do it as soon as you launch your Instinct. There, it only did 26%, about half the damage of the other fully charged Instinct. So the damage of this move does vary, but I mean, it's a raging demon. So anytime that you get an opportunity to land this move, it's usually pretty worth it if you know that you're going to kill your opponent or you're going to take the life bar in the first round. Whatever it might be, you could use this to punish other command grabs. It is really, really fun to use, and it has a really good amount of range to it, too. Big ol' audio bug there. We have a lot of bugs in Killer Instinct, that's alright. But the range on this move is also very good. It has quite the distance to it. It goes almost full screen, so right there we got cut a little bit short. But it does go pretty far. This does not go through projectiles, but this does go through other command grabs, and it can be used to whiff punish very slow recovering moves, like, I don't know, a whiff Tusk heavy punch, or anything that's like a big, slow recovering, long move. It is very easily avoidable. Like, if somebody is just jumping the entire time, they will never get hit by this move, no matter how you time it. If somebody is holding up, this can never work because this move is considered a command grab, so keep that in mind when using Annihilation. Next up, we got Sadira, the aerial spider assassin, and my favorite move from this character is her Widow's Bite projectile. This is a projectile that she can do out of the air. She could do it while jumping forward, backwards, doing neutral jumps. She could do it after her double jump. There's a lot of variety with this move, and it's just a very cool projectile. There's 3 different variations of this move, but my favorite is the medium one. The medium one brings her forward after she uses it, and I think that that's a really cool way for a character to approach when they're based off of using moves in the air. She could also use this after a web cling, so she can really traverse the screen in very interesting ways when she is using her web cling, because she can go all the way back with it, and I'm using the Tiger Knee version of the web cling here to do it as low to the ground as possible, and it is very, very cool looking to me. I love how low to the ground she is when she does it as the Tiger Knee version. But you could also actually even Tiger Knee the Widow's Bite and do that very low to the ground, which helps a lot with her instinct combos. I don't know if I really have these, but no, I don't. But it is one of the cooler looking things in the game if you can get this to land, because she gets some really cool looking animations with this. Oh, hey, look at that. A little bit. That was an opener ender, so that wasn't even a real combo, but it looked cool, right? Yeah, medium Widow's Bite. That's going to be my pick for Sadira, 100%. All right, next up, we have Orchid. She's not necessarily my favorite character in all of Killer Instinct, but I do have one move from her that I do enjoy quite a bit, which is her standing heavy punch, her far standing heavy punch, to be exact. Now, the move itself doesn't look like anything special. It's a pretty far-reaching poke that she can use to confirm into an opener, and it does very, very good damage. So that's that, right? Pretty standard footsie tool, if you will. But my favorite thing about this move is the sound effect. That is a thing of beauty. The audio design in Killer Instinct is second to none, and my goodness, how they actually decided to put a lightsaber noise in there for her standing heavy punch and most of her baton normals in general. This is definitely my favorite one out of all of them. It's just a thing of beauty. It sounds so cool. Just hearing it whiff is just so satisfying, even though you know you're about to die for whiffing it. Yeah, I'm going to put that as my favorite move that Orchid has, just because of the sound design alone. That is amazing. Alrighty, up next we have Spinal. This character has a lot of cool animations, and his sound design is also really incredible. But I think if I had to pick one, my favorite move from Spinal is going to actually be his Power Devour. Now, this isn't a move that deals any damage or anything like that, but it is one of the most unique moves in the game. You use back plus light punch to use this move, and this will absorb any incoming special moves or anything that could be considered a special move and a shadow move. With the exception of any kind of command grabs, this move absorbs all incoming shadow moves and special moves, and it will give Spinal his skulls if he absorbs the attacks. All right, we're going to have Conrad do his Shadow Whirl here, and we're going to absorb it as Spinal, and it's going to give us a ton of skulls. This move hits, oh wow, I got hit there, but this move actually hits 5 times on block, and when you're Power Devouring it, it counts as you blocking the move, so you get 5 skulls after you block it 5 times, and it gives him all of his resources, so he gets to do all of his cool stuff afterwards. That, and it's just a very unsettling move to me. It's like the shield is alive, which it probably is. I don't really know the lore of Killer Instinct, the way it's all moving around and stuff like that. It's just a really crazy sound effect, like whatever kind of scream he's doing there just lasts forever, and I love the green aura surrounding the shield as well. There's some really cool audio effects happening here. There's some really cool lightning effects happening at the same time, and I love the pose that he's hitting where he puts the shield out and he holds the sword up ready for any incoming attack. There's really no other move in Killer Instinct quite like Power Devour, and I just think this move is incredibly unique. This is the character that started it all for me, and there are so many animations that I think are really amazing. He's got his crouching medium kick, he's got the medium laser, he's got the heavy laser, he's got his DP, all these moves that are synonymous with me, and maybe one that's not so synonymous with me, but one that definitely started it all when I watched Maximilian react to this character being announced has to be the Hype Beam. For the love of God, is there any other move in this game that represents a character as well as the Hype Beam represents Fulgore? You have to have full reactor for this move to work. Quarter circle forward, all 3 punches. And it does a crap ton of damage, 30% if you don't combo into it, and a lot of white life built up off of that, which means you get a guaranteed level 4 cash out afterwards. So if you put this all together with a full sequence, it looks a little something like this. Do something like this. Overhead into Hype Beam. Go for a mix-up. 1 chance break. That wasn't even the damage ender, but you get the idea. You can kill somebody very quickly if you hit them with a Hype Beam. It is astronomical. This move is incredible for so many different reasons. It is a full-screen projectile that you can use to punish anybody from anywhere. And it is the greatest projectile I've ever seen in a fighting game. The chest beam, the Hype Beam, it's really called the Devastation Beam. But this move, for as long as I live, will always be known as the Hype Beam because of Maximilian. The sound effect, the way he poses himself, how much damage it does, everything about this move. Incredible. I wish TJ Combo got some more love in Killer Instinct. We need some more TJ Combo players because I want to see more people getting punched in the face. The power line is one of the most hype moves in all of Killer Instinct. I know we just went over the Hype Beam, but the hype that comes along with somebody getting punched in the mouth, look at that damage with this maneuver. It doesn't take much to do a lot of damage in a very short amount of time with TJ Combo when you have something like Power Line. It is an incredibly powerful move, and it can really be useful in a lot of situations. So it is very linear, which means that it's going to be going forward and only forward. But you can actually hit people out of the air with this if they are jumping. So there are some characters that will be trying to neutral jump to avoid, you know, the incoming command grab, or if I want to roll up and grab somebody, you could just smack them out of the air with the power line if you space it properly, because it's gonna hurt. It's gonna do a lot of damage, and I do think that this is probably the most satisfying move to hit out of the power line animation. He does have a couple more moves to his disposal, like he can cancel into a juke at any point to fake people out, which is really good for keeping people's mental stack high. You could roll forward and grab somebody. The grab is obviously separate, but you can cancel into a roll. You have the shoot toss, of course. the flying knee, and you could even go into a back fist, spin fist if you want to. But the power line itself, this is the move we're talking about. This is the money maker. This is the coolest move. The animation around his fist, the big blue aura. It's like he's punching you with a Hadoken. It is a really, really beautiful animation. And I just love the force that comes behind it. It's just a very satisfying move to pull off. Not to mention this move has armor too, so if you absorb an incoming attack, you're going to actually be absorbing the hit with the armor and going through it. So that's really, really deadly too, because he can use this to go through any kind of unwanted attacks and then maybe find a punish with something else. So there's a lot of utility there. Having armor on a forward advancing special move that's pretty safe on block, that sounds like a good time to me. Another character that doesn't get a whole lot of love from Season 2 alongside TJ Combo is definitely Maya. I wish we had more Maya players because I think in the current patch of Killer Instinct, this character is super sick. My personal favorite move from Maya is her Mantis. This is a grab that works out of the air if the opponent is standing. If they're crouching, it does not work. She can only do this move by jumping forward or jumping up in the air as a neutral jump. She cannot do this from a backward state, so it actually is very easy to defend against. You don't see this move very frequently because Mayas usually are just pressuring with their daggers and doing stuff like this into strike-throw mix-ups, trying to build up that potential damage. But you do see this move as an ender in juggles sometimes. If you have instinct, it's a lot easier to pull off. You'll see stuff like this where people will do a combo into daggers and they'll do stuff that looks like that without blowing out the combo, of course. I'm going to try to keep it simple this time. You could do something that looks more like this. One more dagger, and it'll actually cash out whatever damage you have done airborne. So it does work as a cash out too. So this move has some utility to it. It's not just a grab that causes a knockdown. It's just a very fun move. The way she just launches at you with her daggers, stabs you with them, and then the way she kicks herself off of you as well is really, really cool. There's not too many aerial command grabs in fighting games, and this is the only one I could think of in Killer Instinct. So I just think that this move is something special, to say the least. All right, we got the Sand Trap Wizard Conra, and my favorite move from this character is his Light Clutch. Let's take a look at how this looks on Aganos. This is one of the most satisfying things. That is awesome. The size of the wraps actually scales to the size of the character when it goes around them, and I think that's really, really cool. The fact that he's able to slam somebody like Aganos using his bandages is a feat of strength that I could never amount to. This command grab is really, really useful as well. It's got a ton of range. You can hit it from super far away, and it also is very, very good when you are setting up your traps. So if you have a situation where you have a character who's crouching and they have bugs over their head, so if Aganos stands up, he's going to get hit by these bugs, right? He's got to block them. So he's forced to deal with the bugs that are over his head. Now, if he stands up at any time, he's got to deal with the bugs, right? So he's got to sit there. Oh, and he got command grabbed for it. And the command grab is really, really good because it sets up a knockdown and it allows Conra to do some really scary stuff. He can get the spike out in time, which if you dash forward and use it, allows him to get hit. And then the Scorpion is kind of one of his big win conditions. So this command grab leads to a lot. You can throw it out while the Scorpion's there and make some really nasty situations happen. So this move is definitely very, very good. It looks very slow and reactable, but I promise you, this is one of the most deadly moves in all of Conra's tool set. We got the Rush Down Dinosaur Riptor. Hey, Sabrewulf, how's it going? So my favorite move with this character is actually her Jumping Heavy Punch. This is a jump in that counts as a projectile because the flames that come out of her mouth at any point, in any capacity, count as a projectile, right? So she has a jumping projectile that hits up to 3 times, and if you hit it lower to the ground, it could hit even less. If you hit it super low, like there, I got it to hit once. Sometimes you can get it to hit twice. Just like that. It's pretty hard to pull off, but it makes it harder to shadow counter when you do it lower to the ground. This is a really, really good jump-in because it's kind of hard to anti-air because of how the hitbox works. It's got a really crazy hitbox. Let's take a look at that real quick. So the hitbox is huge on this thing, right? And it covers a lot of her hurtbox, which makes it very difficult to anti-air this move. Another important thing about this move is that it's a triple overhead. So, you know, a normal jump in hits once and it forces the opponent to stand block, but they have to stand block 3 times in a row. So as you can see here, I've recorded it so that if he doesn't block standing for the entire duration of the move, He'll block the first hit, but there are gaps where he has to stay blocking standing the entire time. So it forces you to have to stand block 3 hits in a row, which is very good. You're testing your opponent's defensive capabilities when you're using a triple hitting overhead. And again, this move just looks awesome. The way that she leaps into the air for her jump animation, I think, is really cool. And then the way she looks when she gets the opponent to block it with her jaw like completely unhinged, that is a very unsettling animation, and I think that's really, really awesome. So this is going to be my favorite move from Riptor, her jumping heavy punch. This is a very, very powerful jump-in move. Use it more if you're not using it already. Next in line, we're taking a look at the Herald of Gargos, Omen, and I think this is going to be a pretty obvious one. Shadow form. No, just kidding. That move sucks. Anyway, Demonic Despair. Quarter circle forward grab when you have full meter. This does take an entire 3 bars of shadow to do, which I'll show again. It uses all 3. And what it does is that the move actually deals no damage, but it fills up the opponent's white life, their potential damage, basically infinitely. So if you open up somebody after they get hit by Demonic Despair, they now have to deal with an incoming that's probably going to kill them because of how much damage you're about to deal with one combo. So in theory, you punish a command grab whiffing, or you punish a DP whiffing with Demonic Despair. This move is very slow, and it sends the opponent full screen, so it's best used in the corner. But if you land this, and then you start flying towards the opponent, opening up somebody is cool because they're going to be squirming around. They don't want to get hit, right? So you can get a lot of free hits this way. But if you land like a lucky slide or any kind of like jump into an opener, you're pretty much going to kill them in 1 hit, especially if you've already done damage to them. This move is definitely deadly. The animation is really, really fun as well. The way he swoops in, grabs them, holds them up, and then God knows what hits them. Lightning, shadow power, I don't know. Gargos is poop, who knows? It's really, really cool. It's an explosive animation. And the fire underneath him that starts up too. And the pose. That's the only time I've ever seen Omen look cool, is when he does the pose afterwards. I really don't like this character very much, but the pose after he hits the Demonic Despair, I think, is pretty enjoyable. The laugh is good. Yeah, there's a lot of edginess going on there. I think this move is fantastic. Demonic Despair has got to be my favorite move from Omen, because I really don't like the rest of his moveset. Sorry. It's time to rock and roll. We got Aganos. My favorite move from this character, surprisingly enough, is actually his heavy payload. Quarter circle forward heavy punch when you have at least 1 chunk, and he takes one of the chunks out from inside of his body, throws it up in the air, and while it's suspended in the air, he shoots it up and he punches it like that, right? That's big standing heavy punch. He punches it, and it explodes the rock, sending rock shrapnel towards the opponent and destroying like their entire potential white life bar. That is a lot of potential damage. It's like a shotgun because it does more damage the closer you are to the opponent when it hits. From further back, it doesn't do nearly as much. It's still gonna hit them, but not do nearly as much damage. We got 8% there, but if I do it from here, it's going to do considerably more damage. 12%, and then Point Blank even has a very unique animation where they get hit by the rock and then he punches them in the face. You'll never see that happen in a match because that's just not very realistic, but it's very cool that that exists. I love this animation. I love the utility of the move. You'll see this move happen a lot after like a shadow payload confirm, where somebody will set up a wall, then do a heavy payload, and then put them through the wall. It's a very, very cool part of the very optimal Aganos BNB, and I just love the way that the move looks overall. It is just baffling how cool of an idea this is, where he gets to use the resource, shoot it up in the air, and punch it at the opponent. That is fantastic. Up next, we have everybody's undead waifu, Hisako. And my favorite move from this command grab mix-up master is going to be my favorite command grab in the entire game, Shadow Influence. That is one hell of an animation for a command grab. And if the opponent is not jumping or doing something that will avoid the command grab during the screen freeze, this is going to be guaranteed. And let's just talk about this real quick. So this is guaranteed 16%. It scales to about 15% if the opponent has a little bit less life. But this is still a very good tool because it's not only guaranteed damage that builds up a little bit of white life, but it causes a hard knockdown, which gives you the opportunity to go for a mix-up. So this is a very useful tool if you have a bar of meter and you know the opponent isn't going to react to it in time. And just look at the sequence that happens, that takes place when she does this. So she could do this from a little further back. She could do this from about here. She crawls up to you, grabs you, stabs you, places you back on the Naginata, kicks you, and then slices through you as well. There is a whole lot of damage happening here. I love this move. I think this looks so cool. And I love the way the opponent looks during the animation as well. How staggered they look when they're getting grabbed by her. Like they have no idea what's going on, but they are getting absolutely devastated by this move. It is one of my favorite animations in the whole game because of that. It just looks like this move could actually kill somebody. I love how anime it looks. I love how over the top and 90s it is. That is the heart and soul of Killer Instinct right there. And I think Hisako might be my favorite new addition. Besides Mira, of course, my favorite Killer Instinct character. Might be my new favorite addition that we got here in Killer Instinct 2013. This is a thing of beauty right here. And I'm very glad to say that this is my favorite move because I use it all the time. Hisako rules. All right, it's time to fire things up with Cinder. My favorite move from this character requires him to be fired up to use it. His low Inferno, heavy Inferno. That is satisfying. So this is not necessarily full screen when he's fired up, but it does go most of the screen. Let's see how far this thing goes once we get him fired up here. So it goes about maybe a little bit more than half screen, which is still very good for a projectile that hits low, I would say. This is one of the most useful things that Cinder has, and you can use it to start a combo into Shadow Trailblazer if you have meter. So that is a very insane hit confirm from basically half screen. That is really crazy that he even has this. This is a really good tool, and you could use this to set up very easy burnouts, and it does a ton of potential damage on block as well. So if we get Jago to block this, we've set him to block all. That is like an instant level 3 right there. So if we get him opened up now, we get a level 3 burnout off of a 1-chance break. So the white life just keeps adding up between burnouts and blocking infernos. This adds up very quickly. And the move just looks cool. He shoots the fire out of his hands and he aims it towards the ground in an effort to burn your legs. When it's not fired up, it just doesn't go as far, but it is still the same animation and it functions exactly the same. So you'll still get utility out of it no matter what. This is still very good. But from back here, you gotta admit, this looks pretty cool. The full screen presence from Cinder is not very good overall, but when you get a little bit closer in range and he's fired up, or he's an instinct where he's always fired up, having access to this low at any point, I think this is pretty good. I don't know why we don't see people do this more. Or just like walk forward and like stagger it a little bit and just threaten their tootsies a little bit. You could build up a lot of white life that way, so I think that's very scary. And you could use it as a confirm if you're very good at confirming lows from half screen. If you know somebody's going to get hit by that, throw that out, burn their tootsies, and have a good time. It is time for the CEO of Ultratech, and you can see I'm in the sword body here. We are going to be looking at her overhead. Forward heavy punch. This is one of my favorite overheads in the entire game. And this is super cool. It's got a ton of range, and it's +2 on block. So you can actually frame trap off this if the opponent is lucky enough to block it. It's pretty fast overhead, so it is very hard to react to, especially when she's using her instinct and she's pressuring you like crazy. It's definitely very easy to get opened up by this, but just in case you do block it, it is still Aria's turn. She'll be frame trapping you afterwards with any of her light normals or her throw if she does it from point blank. So she gets to continue pressure even if you do block the very hard to react to overhead. That's nuts. The range on it's very good, and the animation is awesome too. She really is majestic when she uses this thing. I love the way she turns to use the overhand swipe, and I love the animation of like the blue hexagons that trail off of it. It's very similar to in her I believe it's in her booster body. She has the crescendo where she has a hexagon around her. The actual hexagons come off of the sword now, and I think that that's a really, really nice touch for this character. I love seeing stuff like that. Arc continuity, baby. But yeah, this move is awesome, and when it hits, it is very devastating because it does a lot of damage. It is a heavy normal, and it's very easily hit confirmable into an opener. So you can use this for some very, very easy damage, and you could use this to mix up your opponent well when you've got such good low presence with the crouching medium punch as well. The sword body, very, very good on offense already, and then being able to mix in your assist calls with this means that you're going to be scaring the crap out of your opponent when you use the overhead because, my God, which way are they supposed to block? This move is so cool to me. Kicking off Season 3 with Kim Woo. My favorite move from Kim Woo has got to be her overhead, her light dragon dance. This is not a command overhead like we've seen from ARIA and Thunder and Jago. This is a special move, so it does require an input, quarter circle back, light kick to do this one. The medium and heavy versions are not overheads. They are used differently, but those are not the moves we're talking about here. We want the light one. This is an overhead. The shadow version has 5 times, and it's got a lot more oomph and a bigger explosion, but I love the light one. I think the light one is so cool looking. I love the way that she rears back and does the flip, and the big blue explosion that pops off of it as well. It is a very, very good overhead. So she can cancel into this overhead off of her lows, and that is a pretty decent mix-up in itself. You got to know how to block this character efficiently if you want to deal with this mix-up. But it becomes even scarier. This move becomes way scarier if you have a dragon. This dragon resource allows you to cancel anything into anything, right? So you can cancel out of anything, rather, I should say. And, you know, this overhead is very, very fast, but it is reactable, right? Now, what if I cancel out of the overhead animation, right? To be able to dash up and go low, that is unblockable. There is no way a human being is going to see that overhead start up and they're going to be ready to block this. If you've ever blocked this in your entire life, I will give you a cookie because I'm not blocking that. I've been hit by that every single time, and every time that I do it, it is guaranteed to hit. I have never seen anybody block it when I do it, so anybody else that blocks this, yeah, you deserve an award of some kind. This move is awesome. I love the amount of presence that it has. It's just a very cool move to me, and I think that Kim Woo is very cool for having it. This move is awesome. Up next, we have Tusk, and we have a pretty obvious one with this one here. This is going to be his forward medium punch. Look at the damage on this move. Oh my dear Lord in heaven. This is Tusk's backstab, and it does a ton of damage. It's a very, very slow move, and very rarely do you ever see anybody actually get hit by this. It's not a very commonly used move because of that. It's not very competitive, but it is awesome. Look at the animation, the way he steps up, the way he moves forward and stabs the sword behind him. And look at the hit stun. Look how long she's staggered for. It allows you to get some really crazy combos. Let's see what kind of a combo we can get if we land a backstab. That was a 51% combo that was nothing but manuals. So pretty easy to break if you know what links into what. But if you don't know anything about Tusk and you get hit by that combo, good God in heaven, that is a lot of damage for not a lot of work. It's a very easy combo. And I think this move is just very satisfying. Just look at that thing. God. It is a proximity normal though, so if you get closer to the opponent and do forward medium punch, you're going to get this kind of backstab instead, which is a cross-up mid-attack that is very unsafe on block, but it is very good to throw in once in a while if your opponent is not expecting it, if you've been hitting them with a lot of grabs and pressuring them up close with a lot of frame traps and stuff like that. Going for this once in a while isn't the worst idea. Doing it from back here, it's a little bit less unsafe, but it's still very, very good to use because, I don't know, you might just hit somebody for like 50% for doing it, so why not give it a try? Up next, we have Velvedam, we have the Arbiter, and my favorite move from this character is his Prophet's Bane command grab. Turns invisible, scoops you up, stabs you with the energy sword, and this allows him to do a follow-up with his carbine or his grenade. He can shoot you 1 to 3 times, or he can put the grenade on you if he has them, and he can go for a setup with that. It's also very, very good. This move is awesome. I love the invisibility effect and how he goes across the screen with the move. There's actually a lot of range to this move. You can do this from pretty far away, and it is quite effective. I'm whiffing it over and over here, but yeah, look at that. The Shadow command grab, I do believe, goes full screen. Yeah, that goes full screen. That's pretty crazy. All of these have different ranges, so the light one doesn't go very far, but it does have a decent amount of range. The heavy one will hit from about here. Sometimes it'll go a little further back, something like that. Yeah, so this is really good for traversal, actually. You can actually kind of teleport yourself to different spots if you're using the command grab, because he'll just go from there to there really quickly. And if it whiffs, we'll see that there's a split moment where he's not on the screen, and you can see that he just kind of teleports over there. So this could be used for traversal. It does have a ton of recovery, though, so you can't just use it all the time. You could also cancel into it, which I don't think is as good. I think this is a little bit more predictable because he doesn't have many things to make you scared of canceling into the command grab. He's got his overhead, which I think is a lot better. You can cancel into the overhead off of his sword normals or his kick normals, and I think that's a lot better. But canceling into the command grab once in a while will catch your opponent slipping. That will keep them on their toes. I don't know, this move is just rad. The way he stabs you in the gut, it's just vicious. It's very Halo, and I just can really picture him doing this in a Halo game, so I think that's why I love it so much. It is time to unload the Toad with Rash. My favorite move from this character is his Shadow Boot. This move is an invincible wake-up attack, fully invincible, and it is also a cash-out on the ground and in the air, which deals massive damage. The animation is very similar to that of Sasquatch from Vampire Savior. He's got a very similar move, but I think Rash takes the cake. I think his looks a lot cooler. I love the spike boot. I love the way it swirls around in the air, and the way he tries to control his leg afterwards is very charismatic. It's a very nice touch, and I think it's just a very awesome looking move. You could use this to cash out on the ground, or you could use it in a juggle, and I think that out of all the crazy moves this character has, this move is probably the lesser out of all the evils, because I think he's got some pretty busted stuff between the Wrecking Ball and then Wicked Tongue and stuff like that. But Shadow Boot as a cash out for a juggle, it's just very satisfying. There's really not too much to complain about with this move in my opinion, because I think it's just, it is what it is. You know, it's a wake up, it's a cash out, it's a little bit of everything, and I think it's a lot of fun to use. You could do some cool stuff like this. Got some running boot juggles for you. Do I have these? Sometimes. A lot of fun to use in juggles. Definitely play around with Rash's juggle combos if you haven't already. They're very fun. And cashing them out with Shadow Boot makes them that much more satisfying. Mira is my favorite fighting game character of all time. I love absolutely everything about this character, and to this day, I think that she is the most fun I've ever had playing a fighting game character. If I have to pick just one move, I'm probably going to lose my mind, but for the sake of the video, I will pick one, and I'm going to make it a little complicated because I love this character so much. Instant air dash of any kind, usually forward, into heavy punch. This move, oh my god, that was jank. This move is crazy. This is a double hitting overhead, right? The jumping heavy punch by itself. This is kind of a 2-in-1, so I'm cheating here, but it's my video. I'll do what I want. Instant air dash heavy punch is one of my favorite ways to approach with this character because the hitbox on this move is crazy, and it hits twice, right? So a double hitting overhead that's fast is a really, really good way to pressure the opponent when you're going for crazy mix-ups, left-right stuff, the whole 9 yards. It is very, very devastating when you're dealing with stuff like this, and then you get opened up by that. She's got a really good low presence too. She can do like empty jump low, like that. That was a really delayed ender. I didn't even mean to do that. But the jumping heavy punch kind of ties it all together because you can just reset people who are looking for grabs or looking for lows and use that to set up this really dangerous. That would have reset there if the opponent wasn't blocking standing. That's nuts. So this is just a lot of fun to do. If you haven't used Mira yet, learn how to instant air dash first, and then just do jumping heavy punch over and over again. I promise you, this is one of the most satisfying things in all of Killer Instinct, and is a huge reason why I love this character so much. Just looping this over and over again against people in the corner who are ready for everything but that is very satisfying. So go ahead and give Mira a try if you haven't already and see why I love this character so much.
You look drained.
We are ready for the Shadow Lord himself, Gargos. This character is very crazy design-wise, and I love a lot of his animations. He's got some really cool ones that are pretty simple. Like, I love his back walk where he's got his arms crossed, and of course his taunt is great. That's cool. But my favorite move that he has is actually his standing heavy kick. This move is disgusting. I think this move is awesome. This is a normal. This is just standing heavy kick by itself, and it creates a full screen pillar that is like a huge stop sign to anybody who's in the air. And look how beautiful this move is. He goes down to the ground and he creates an explosion off of his back, and his wings hit the ground, and like there's this purple dust that hits the ground. I don't know, man. There's really, I've said this all video long, there's no move in the game like this either. This is insane. The colors are beautiful. The purple and blue aura that comes up into the air, it looks different every single time. There's like a bunch of different variations of it, and it's just very beautiful. I don't know, there's something very artistically pleasing about this move. And it doesn't have a whole lot of utility. Like, you don't use it on the ground very much unless you're anti-airing somebody. That's kind of it. It's kind of just an anti-air. But other than that, I don't know. This move is just very beautiful to look at, I guess. Just take a moment to appreciate the visuals in Killer Instinct when you look at this move. This is a thing of beauty. I know I've said that all video, just like the other things I've said all video, but I cannot express it enough. I love Killer Instinct and how much work went into the visuals and the audio effects. And this move might not be very special competitively, but just taking the moment to appreciate it, I think, is the most important thing. This is godlike. Going to the General to save some time. It is time for General RAAM. This character is the ultimate grappler of Killer Instinct, and I would be doing this character a disservice if my favorite move was not his Shadow command grab, Shadow Dominance. Much like Hisako's Shadow Influence quarter circle back punches, this move is awesome. It is a one-frame command grab. And if your opponent is not doing something to avoid that command grab in that one frame, they are going to get snatched up. Look at this. Grab, stab, stomp, stomp, stomp. Simple, effective, grappler satisfaction, grappler goodness all around. This is probably the coolest command grab in the entire game. I mean, Hisako's is a close tie. Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Do you take the Annihilation over this? Do you take the Demonic Despair? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think is the coolest command grab in all of Killer Instinct? Because this has got to be up there for sure. Look at this. Throw him to the side. Stomp all over him, and then you get to go for the OTG afterwards, which leads to, obviously, more command grabs. Command grabs are us, and General RAAM is the general of that store as well. Yeah, this is enough said, right? Do I have to say anything else about this move? Look at this. Oos. Up next, it's time for Eyedol. This character is a menace competitively, and I think he's one of the strongest characters in the whole game. And he's got some pretty cool animations too, but if I had to pick one, he's got to be an instinct for it. Let's take a look at the Shadow Crushing Destroyer. Shadow Crushing Bolt Destroyer, I believe, is the full name of this move. Let's take a look at this, what this looks like from full screen. The hitbox is on. Oh my god. There is no other move in the game that does what this move does. This is a full screen, just 5-frame checkmate. And you'll notice there's a little bit of a space above where you can't actually get hit if you can go up above the health bar. So like characters like Sadira, even Gargos can avoid this if they go up there. Let's see if I can recreate that. Let's see. Oh no, Gargos doesn't go nearly high enough, but there are some instances where some characters can go above this for a little bit, but it's not going to be very consistent. This move is insane. It does a ton of damage. It's so easy to combo off of. I mean, it's plus on block. This move will do your taxes for you. It'll make you a meal. Shadow Crushing Bolt Destroyer. Gotta be one of the most satisfying moves in the whole game. Look at this. Look at the damage, too. Ooh, 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 ooh. Do 2 of them. And obviously it's all breakable in combo, right? But look at that. How can you not love that move? That move is perfect. I can count on one hand how many things I actually like about Kilgore, and this is one of them, his Shadow Missile Barrage. He aims the reticle at his opponent, and he shoots a whole bunch of missiles out of his chest. That's probably the coolest thing about this character, honestly. I think that's awesome. He's got a lot of damage off of that, too. It can work as like an OTG confirm, too. You do something like this, and that'll give you good damage. It didn't actually connect there. I think I did it a little too late, but it does actually work sometimes. Maybe like that. Oh, there it is. Hey. So it does have a good amount of utility. It builds up a good amount of white life. It also does a lot of chip on block, too, if I'm correct. Let's see. Them to block all. Good amount of chip damage, maybe? Oh, well, we'll never know. Try again. How much chip does this do? Oh, quite a bit of chip. That is... yeah, that is a considerable amount of chip. Set him to 20% life. Let's see if this pushes him into danger. Oh, it does. Yeah, so that is... yeah, that's a grip. That's a good grip of damage right there. So I'm saying maybe that's about 7-8% chip, something like that. That's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to say. I'm not a big fan of Kilgore, but I do think this move is pretty cool. I mean, it's a bunch of homing missiles that explode upon impact, so how could that not be cool? Here's another detestable character for me, Shin Hisako. I much prefer the vanilla Hisako compared to the Shin version. I prefer the elbow version better. Shin Hisako doesn't have very many cool moves to me. I don't really like this character, but she does have this. This is Shadow Spirit Slice. Goes full screen, crosses up, and that might be the most anime move in the whole game. Gonna set them to not block anything here, and you can see that, yeah, this crosses up from full screen. Does not go through projectiles, but it is pretty fast. It can be interrupted if somebody got those, because she does travel across the screen. Her hurt box is active the entire time, but it's got a pretty big hitbox, too. Look at how large the slice is, so it's very easy to get hit by that if you're not careful. Trying to interrupt this is definitely a lot easier said than done. She's got her regular Spirit Slice, right? This is like the light one is instant. The medium one is delayed, but it starts a combo. You can pop somebody up with a juggle that way, and I think that that's also decent. But the Shadow one just being super over-exaggerated and crazy and being able to combo off that is probably my pick for Shin Hisako, considering I hate this character. At last, we have come to the final character, which is going to be Eagle. My favorite move that Eagle has is his Shadow Range Shot. I think this move is pretty cool. It's a bunch of overheads. It's got the Shadow Aura on the actual arrows as well, and they disappear. You don't actually need to have arrows to do this move. It doesn't take away from your quiver. So if I have 10 arrows, I will keep 10 arrows if I use the Shadow Range Shot. So that's nice to always have the option to use this move. It's pretty interesting. And you can get some cool conversions like that. I didn't even know I was able to do that. But that was pretty cool, right? Ooh, I'm mixing, baby. I got an Eagle. No, I don't. I don't dislike this character as much as I dislike all the other Season 3.5 characters, so I won't dunk on Eagle as much as I have on Shin or Kilgore in this video. But I do think it's a little lackluster in comparison to some of the other stuff we've seen in this video so far. Range Shot in general is really cool. It's a very annoying series of overhead arrows, and the Shadow version is just probably the coolest one he has. He's kind of dry otherwise. He's not a very stylish character. Wingspan, I guess? The big Sonic spin? I don't know. Trying to think of other candidates for what could be cool besides that. And I don't know. The big pizza? The pizza. All right, maybe I'm switching my answer to the pizza. The pizza.